They say April showers bring May flowers, but in downtown Youngstown, those showers also bring plenty of problems.
This will flood this particular corner. This will flood all the way out to this grate, and it will overflow over to the sidewalk here.
Youngstown Cityscape Associate Director Phil Kidd points out some of the problem areas.
We're here in Central Square, in one of the quads in Central Square. You can see there's a sea of concrete. It's great aesthetically, and it's well landscaped, but it's not really practical for purposes of stormwater management. We have stormwater management issues, we have improper use given the design context, and we have a green infrastructure piece now that isn't maximizing its potential.
It's because of those issues the city has partnered with Fresh Coast Capital, a green infrastructure consulting company based in Chicago. April Mendez is Vice President of Programs.
It used to be, before we built up our cities and paved everything, that when rain fell, it was absorbed by soils and plants and trees. And so now that we have put a lot of hard surfaces in to build buildings and make streets, that rain has nowhere to go but into our sewer system.
Fresh Coast began working with the city in 2015. When they partnered with the Youngstown Neighborhood Development Corporation and the Department of Housing and Urban Development to plant trees in 3 city parks.
We're now working on a green infrastructure plan in partnership with the city.
Green infrastructure is using nature to manage stormwater. Right now, Youngstown is mostly using gray infrastructure like drain pipes and basins.
This concrete bump out here is an example of something that could be improved. So this could be made more of a garden space. We could do a curb cut to allow the water to come into it.
Green infrastructure comes in many different forms, such as rain gardens, green roofs, and permeable pavers.
A lot of stormwater running off of this parking lot, and so they put in these strips of permeable paver. So this is the kind of hardscape where you can just put it in for parking lots or parking spaces.
In addition to taming stormwater, Mendez says green infrastructure can also provide a boost to the economy.
Green infrastructure especially is good for a business. It will help to improve retail sales. It'll help increase the number of people who come to downtown and spend some of their money in downtown and the shops and the restaurants here.
Mendez says jobs would also be needed planning, installing, and maintaining the green infrastructure.
Youngstown is around 45–46% at or below the poverty line. So anything that would develop or create jobs is something that we would be interested in.
Keelan Logan is Executive Director for the Colony Youngstown. He says implementing green infrastructure can also help reduce crime.
In Philadelphia, there was a study done. They attributed the up to 30% reduction in violent crimes and narcotics crimes to green infrastructure, and the reason being is that the criminals no longer identify those spaces as anonymous spaces where sketchy activity could take place.
The Colony Youngstown is a grassroots nonprofit community improvement group. They're partnering with Fresh Coast to offer workshop sessions in the city.
To give residents a sense of what green infrastructure is and to let them know about green infrastructure as an opportunity and giving them education so that then they can say, is this something we want in our community?
We want to be able to demonstrate what green infrastructure does for the community and let the community play a role in creating that project.
There's a lot of different things that go into the proper design of green infrastructure.
Courtney Boyle is a project manager for engineering firm MS Consultants. She says when adding green infrastructure, groundwater levels, utilities, and setbacks from buildings need to be taken into account.
In a more residential area, typically, depending on where you're at, but somewhere like Youngstown, you have a lot more space to play with.
MS Consultants has long been a part of the stormwater control plan for the city. Now they're working with Fresh Coast to act as the technical expert in implementing the new infrastructure.
What's challenging in Youngstown is we have flows both in the city and out of the city that come to the city's combined sewer system. So we need to look at what is being brought into the system in the city versus what is being contributed out of the city and the counties, and figure out that if we pool stormwater out of the combined sewer system within the city, is that going to make an impact? Can that reduce flows enough to make an impact, and how does that become cost effective for the city?
You can read more in the mid-April issue of the Business Journal, out now. Click the subscribe tab to order your copy today.